Hello and welcome back to Be More the Podcast. I am your host, Kayla Marie, and you're watching K Marie TV. Let's get it. So, how are we doing? How are we feeling? Let's do a quick mental health check-in. Currently, it is post snow day here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm feeling in awe. I saw snow for the first time, born and raised in Florida. It does not snow in Florida. Yesterday, January 10th, was the first day I saw snow, and it was so pretty, so amazing. Oh my God. I made a little snowballs. I watch people make snow angels. I had to work, so I really couldn't stop and enjoy the snow day that only happens once in every 4 years in Atlanta. But I just moved out here, so hopefully I can experience another one. And I'm really feeling more optimistic and hopeful just given the snow. I was very timid about the snow, if I'm being honest, because I could not handle the cold. Once it comes 40 degrees, I'm shutting down. I don't really know how to function. And it's been, what, 30 degrees these last 2 weeks. So I feel like right now I can handle it. Bill, I might be getting Bill. I might not be built for the cold, but I'm getting Bill, which is nice. I also am going home this next few weeks. So I'm a little nervous in terms of going home. Going back to where we started, it always brings some type of anxiety. And if it doesn't, shout out to you. Who's your therapist? But just a little nervous. Also excitement there as well. So not feeling too overwhelmed, but I also am nervous launching the podcast, letting people know the podcast exists. I have been just bulk making episodes these last few days, which is exciting. I don't know if I might have to, get the podcast to you guys, which is scary. I really want you guys to not only like the podcast, but enjoy it and want to hear more from me. So that adds a little bit to my nervousness, but I digress. I'll be fine. And if you don't like it, hey, I'm listening. My future self is listening. My future kids might listen. So somebody will find something out of this podcast. Without further ado, let's go into Devil's Advocate. And this Devil's Advocate pairs perfectly with the topic of this episode. And I want to get into in terms of aesthetically pleasing or functionality when shopping for products. And for some, this might be a no-brainer, but just given our consumption society, but also just our younger generation needs to find everything aesthetically pleasing to match everything, it's a genuine, divide. I feel like these are two questions a lot of shoppers ask themselves when buying stuff. I know I do. So side one, the aesthetically, I can't even say that word for aesthetically pleasing side really finds the need to match things and want things in sync. So they don't really care for the functionality as long as those red shoes matches my red socks and they match my red pots and pans. I'm Gucci. They don't really need to be the best pots and pans out there as long as it's pleasing to the eye. So that's something that, aesthetically pleasing people find themselves doing when shopping, but also more often than not, aesthetically pleasing stuff in terms of colors, I'd say specifically, sometimes can be cheaper than the actual functionality of a product. And you can think of a lot of name brands. I don't know. I'm using luggage in my mind as examples, but the luggage that's gonna last you a few years will definitely be more expensive than the luggage you pick up at Walmart, for example. So let's say July luggage is definitely more functional than Walmart's brand luggage, which is okay. Shop, I have luggage from Walmart, hell, but just going into my point, cheaper things, excuse me, going into my point that aesthetically pleasing things might also be more accessible and cheaper than the functionality of some items. And side one also says that they might be surprised by the functionality and it might have a cute quirk that they like. That's something that I think people who do shop for aesthetically pleasing stuff tell themselves in terms of shopping. So I definitely have done that in the past too. Oh, I really didn't anticipate for this, water bottle to flip open like that, but hey, it matches my vibe and I like the water bottle. Not mad at it. Something like that. However, side two, functionality side, really does not care to match anything. They want what they're buying to be as functional as they need it to be in whatever capacity, but it's going to last them how long it needs to last them. So I'd say, I know my grandma is this type of person, like she really cares for functionality and is willing to pay that extra dollar for that functionality need. Sometimes it can be a double-edged sword where you're not actually paying for functionality. You think you are because it's a name brand, but sometimes the functionality might be the same, you know? But something else people with functionality lean towards is the quality and the materials being used within that product. So that is something that they look into. They don't really care what color it is, what products, what material is this being made out of, and I can make my decision from there. And I'd say as well that brand loyalty plays a big, big, big part when people shop for functionality because they know this brand can deliver on any item and they know the brand won't, cut corners in terms of supplies and how the product will actually function. So that's something that side two, who really values functionality in a product, leverages when shopping. So, how are you? What type of shopper are you? I'm very curious in terms of aesthetically pleasing products or functionality in a product. Tell me your thoughts. And that really, really goes into what this episode is going to be about. And it's going to be talking about brands. And a lot of brands probably don't even want me to say all this. I'd say these are marketing trades and secrets, really how to produce sales for their products versus what's really good for the consumer. However, I really want to talk about this because this 2025, I see a lot of content about people wanting to be more cautious consumers and spending less and really monitoring their footprint, which I think damn straight. We live in an overconsumption society, literally to the T. I play a part in it, and this reminder and going into it and sharing it with you all is there's something we all can take from it. So let's talk about some marketing tactics brands use to make sure they get a sale out of you versus thinking about you as a consumer. And the first part I want to talk about is messaging. It's everything. Messaging, how a brand, a company messages a product to you is going to make or break that sale, right? And they're going to tell you things that are so irrelevant. They're going to tell you things that don't even make logical sense, but it's not illegal. So they're going to tell you in terms of messaging, fraudulency, it could be in any industry, but let's use food as a number one example here. And the first one I have that, oh, it's been on my mind since college, so I need to air this out, is when a food label says non-GMO, non-GMO, and it got a lot of you almond moms in a chokehold, non-GMO. But let's really talk about it. Let's define non-GMO, right? GMO is basically foods that come out of organisms that have their DNA altered to give desired traits. And that's basically genetic engineering. So their DNA is altered. The food's DNA is altered, basically, right? And a lot of food, if I go look at my spinach right now from Whole Foods, it says non-GMO. Editing K here, and actually my spinach from Whole Foods does not say anything about GMO. Shout out to them. However, looking at my wonderful pistachios pack that I do have here, there is a non-GMO sticker. Want to give some credit to Whole Foods for not false advertising, but my point is still valid that some brands, not all brands, use non-GMO and other health marketing tactics to promote their food. A lot of produce says non-GMO, and I'm pretty sure at least when I shop nowadays, everything says non-GMO now, and it's just like you're not genetically modifying anything. This is literally a marketing tactic. I'm telling you, it's a marketing tactic. How is saying non-GMO about food a marketing tactic? They're just telling me that, oh, they didn't modify the food. Babes. I took horticulture, and this is something I will take to the grave. According to the USDA, there's only 13 foods that are allowed to be genetically modified. Only 13 foods are allowed to be genetically modified by the USDA. So let me calm down. Clearly, I'm very passionate about this, but I'm going to tell you what those foods are. And then you tell me how the food in your daily life could possibly be genetically modified. The 13 organisms that are only allowed to be genetically modified according to the USDA as of 2025, January 11th. Corn, cotton, soybean, potatoes, papaya, summer squash, canola, fa, a type of food that they feed beef cattle, apples, sugar beets, pink pineapple, farm raised salmon, and some type of pig. So explain to me, out of those 13 only allowed organisms according to the USDA, how are you genetically modifying spinach? How are you making sure asparagus is not genetically modified? Whole Foods. And it's no tea, no shade to Whole Foods. I shop at Whole Foods every Sunday. I love y'all. But I just want us to be super, super aware that this non-GMO packaging on our favorite foods is bullshit. It's bullshit. It's just a way for us to think we're eating healthier. Let me probably pay an extra dollar on non-genetically modified food that is not even healthy. So, and it's really crazy too because the USDA has really valid points as to why only these 13 organisms are on their list. And it sounds like, just based off the research and the lessons I've learned, that they make sure that there's a reason for these foods to be genetically modified before just saying, yeah, genetically modify some potatoes. You know, for example, apples, they are allowed to be genetically modified so they don't brown as fast. Pink pineapples are allowed to be genetically modified. I believe they're sweeter. However, they're super hard to come by nowadays. They're getting more accessible, but super hard to come by. There's a why to a lot of stuff that, you know, as a consumer, we don't know, but Kayla's here to tell you. The next thing in terms of messaging I want to touch on is protein. Since I've really started my health journey and more protein intake has been kind of the health trend. You don't think these brands are going to capitalize? Okay. All of a sudden, everything is telling me how much protein is in it, right? And I fell victim to it at first before I stopped and talked to my doctor and was like, Kayla, read the nutrient facts. Look at the back. Like, come on, 5 grams of protein per serving. Great. Not saying it doesn't have 5 grams of protein. Sodium is 500. Carbohydrates is 38 grams. That 5 grams of proteins actually does not mean shit. Like, oh my God. So, protein is definitely used as a marketing tactic as well nowadays in terms of just highlighting the grams of protein in a serving, but not taking into fact the other nutrients that are in the food product that just basically counteract the protein that you're trying to gain. Messaging is so important and it's so important for us to be aware. And then something else I want to talk about regarding just ways brands, think have it portrayed that they're trying to work for you when in actuality they're just trying to get a sale out of you is coupons and deals and sales. The brands are hating me right now. The brands are they're literally trying to grab me by my neck and tell me to shut up because I am spilling all the tea, bro. Number one, these mid-year sales, end of the year sales, blackout sales, that's all the stuff you guys did not buy throughout the year and they have to get rid of inventory. You know that, right? Inventory is high and they need to get rid of this inventory so they can sell you their new stuff. That is what those sales are for, bro. Another one is price hijacking, and I'm sure we all are aware of this, but essentially a lot of brands, what they'll do is raise the price of something and then mark it down, talking about, oh, it's on sale. No, you just created a bullshit ass sale. Like, let's be so for real, bro. Let's be so for real. Another coupon and deal, I say something used for more sales and a little more competitive, is Black Friday, Cyber Monday. As we know, the deals haven't been dealing anymore. And you want to know why? You want to know why the deals haven't been dealing anymore? Amazon. Amazon is taking over the world. And brands like retailer brands are trying to compete with Amazon, and it's hard. So Black Friday, a thing of the past. How can we compete against Prime Day? That is the real priority for brands these next few years, Amazon and competing with Amazon. But those 2 points I mentioned, mid-year, Prime Day sale, or price hijacking, Amazon is the main culprit. Amazon Prime Day is a joke in my eyes. But hey, let me digress and go to the next, ways we can be more cautious as a consumer. There's a lot of ways we can be more cautious. I'd say starting at your attention and what you actually dedicate your time to and give your attention to. The old saying is, as true as it is in marketing, time is money. So on Netflix, you see how they have ads now because your attention, your time watching those ads is how they're generating money. Let's say Toyota has a commercial on Netflix, right? Toyota is paying Netflix for your attention for those 30 seconds. And that's what's adding money to Netflix. So let's say, hey, I'm really tired of ads. I'm going to pay the premium. The amount you're paying for premium and the amount you're paying for your time and attention watching those ads are damn near the same thing. You just have to do a cost analysis to see what is better for you. Because people think, oh, you pay for premium, you don't have ads, you got money. No, they know that their time is money. They actually do not want to be advertised by Toyota, again, for example, and would rather pay Netflix themselves to use the platform to save their time. So your attention is, hey, as a marketer, my number one job to get. So how can you as a consumer leverage your attention is a way to think about it. Another way to be more cautious as a consumer. Another way to be more cautious as a consumer is understanding that we are in an overconsumption society. I know you guys seen people talk about it. I believe there was a documentary on Netflix about all the waste we have as a society or nation. I haven't watched it myself, but it's starting to gain traction. I've also seen a lot of creators on YouTube, especially, commit to no spend years this 2025. I'd say if you're not ready to commit to that, because I know I'm not, I might have a problem that I'm working on and I'm sharing to you how I'm working on it. Get what you need. Ask yourself, do you need this item? Is it a need or is it a want? And how is this want affecting the planet, affecting my pockets, affecting my waste, etc. So asking yourself those important questions help combat the overconsumption we see. Another question you can ask is, am I getting this just to be trendy, or do I really want this item, right? Nowadays, if it's on trend, we need to hop on. If it's the new Rogue lip gloss, we need to hop on. If it's the new Sony camera, we need to hop on. Am I getting it because I like the tools and capacity and capabilities, or am I getting it because it's trending and everyone has it and I need to be a part of the trend? Right. And I'd say another way we can really overcome this overconsumption is recycling and reselling our current goods before buying. Hey, I even see people, DIYing some old stuff they have and revamping purses, which I think is so amazing. There's just one TikToker who really refurbishes, is that the word I'm looking for? Replenishes Coach bags. So doing stuff like that before you buy can really help answer the questions I just mentioned if you really need to make that other purchase, right? So again, this is going to be so much easier said than done as we live in a society that, hey, are you fitted? What brand is that? Oh, where'd you get that? It's going to be hard. But when there's no space for us to live anymore because the trash is taking over and there's no room for our kids to get anything because we utilized, let's say, all the petroleum in the world. That might be a little dramatic. I was a theater kid. We need to do something because clearly, legislation is not doing anything. But to wrap up this episode, I want to talk about the ins and outs of consumer behavior in 2025. AKA us, what's in and what's out in terms of how we shop and how can we be better. What's out? Mindless buying in terms of these brand collaborations, bro. I don't know who is making these partnership decisions. Maybe they need to give me a call. Maybe they need to give me a call. What's it? Native and crumble cookie. These collaborations we're literally just wasting. Like, I promise you, I do not want to smell like a strawberry sugar vanilla cookie by Crumble. I don't even like that. Like, it's, again, maybe I know I'm definitely not the target audience. I am not the target audience, but when I keep looking in Target and I see those shelves fully stocked, hey, we don't need these mindless collaborations because Crumble is on trend. Do you see how brands are hopping on the trends too and not focusing on the functionality of their products? Come on. It's out. Mindless buying, those collaborations out. What's also out is non-sustainable shopping, right? We are living in a society where we know global warming is real. I mean, half of LA is on fire right now. It's snowing in Atlanta. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's not political. Global warming is here and the planet is getting warmer and drastic effects are knocking at our front door. As a consumer, we're starting to support brands that take notice, are advocates, have support systems to make the planet we're on more greener, but also have sustainable practices in terms of their vendor suppliers, in terms of the materials they use. Sustainability is a non-negotiable at this point, just given the social climate. Another out is celebrity made brands. Oh my God. And I'm not talking about like a collaboration, like, like a collaboration with a brand. No. Celebrity made brands, specifically A-list celebrities who have the money, who have the credit to go and make these brands, but they're not thinking about functionality. They're not asking what the consumer needs are. They just want to put their name attached to a brand and call it a day. No, we're not catering to the A-list celebrities to make them more money anymore as consumers. We are focused on sustainability, functionality, and combating this overconsumption society. But let me tell you what's in. Again, consumers slowing down on their spending, being more cautious, understanding where they're putting their dollar and attention. I'd also say what's in is brands incentivizing their loyal communities a bit more. New customer acquisition by marketers is the forever goal, right? But we need to start investing in our loyal bases, in our brand communities a bit more. And it doesn't have to be coupon related, even though that's what the consumers want. It could be more resources for the consumers. It can be a little more TLC to your loyal fan bases. So that is going to be in, and I'm seeing it more and more across B2C, but also even B2B brands. And I say what's also in, lastly, is taking stock, taking inventory of what people have in terms of, can I resell? Can I DIY what I need? And that kind of goes back into point one, but a lot of consumers are just fed up. They don't need 12 coats. They don't need 40 lip glosses. Maybe I'm talking to myself at this point, but consumers are getting more cautious, and consumers need to understand that these brands just want your attention and your money. And it's not a bad thing to give it to them, but it's how you're giving it to them, what speed you're giving it to them, and at this point, how is it affecting our climate when we give it to them? So I leave you alone with those thoughts as we continue to navigate an overconsumer society. Again, don't stop spending your money, but just be a little more cautious of how you are. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Be More. I hope you could be more in terms of being more cautious with your dollar. Your dollar is your power. And I will see you on the next episode.